Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of the Thrive with Asbury Seminary podcast. I'm your host, Heidi E. Wilcox, bringing you conversations with authors, thought leaders, and people just like you who are looking to connect where your passion meets the world's deep need. Today on the podcast, I had the real privilege of talking to Reverend Dr. Girma Bishaw. Dr. Bishaw is a 2019 Asbury Seminary alum and presently serves as the director of the Gratitude Initiative in Great Britain. The Gratitude Initiative is a charity that exists to promote the sharing of gratitude to change the social imagination that leads to relational transformation, a fulfilled self, a sense of belonging, and a harmonious and just society. So they'll be formally launching the Gratitude Initiative on November 28th, and we talk a little bit about that in the podcast. We talk about what the Gratitude Initiative is, Girma's own story of developing a lifestyle of gratitude, the benefits to us of making gratitude a practice, not just in the month of November, but throughout the entire year, and ways that looking for the good can help us resolve conflict and build unity in our own communities. Let's listen. You have been a pastor, a church planner, and you have worked with and founded organizations with the goal of empowering others. Could you tell us a little bit about your call to ministry?
So I came to know the Lord while I was in back home in Ethiopia. So originally I'm from Ethiopia. So I came to Britain in 1990. I think I came to know the Lord personally 2 years prior to coming to Britain. And I came here and I joined Ethiopian church. Well, it wasn't a church actually. It was a fellowship, and I was kind of discipled there. And then eventually, my conviction to enter into ministry grew in me. Previously, my interest was in accounting. I was studying accounting back home, so my plan was to continue doing that, but I felt that the Lord was calling me into ministry. Kind of, it's like it was just a very natural progress, like being burdened by first an urge to kind of disciple people, to have a heart for new converts, and then as I give myself to it, trying to kind of disciple and teach follow-up classes. It just naturally grew in me, and eventually I kind of respond to that call and started. I did my first degree in theology and Christian ministry, and that had a practical engagement, kind of mission, and doing all sorts of ministries alongside the studies. And after I graduated from my university, doing my first degree, I came back to the church and started doing the discipleship and teaching new converts classes. And the church recognized my giftings, and then in 1998, they kind of the elders of the fellowship, actually it wasn't. I think it became church, and I mean it was a very informal kind of fellowship, but the fellowship grew through time. And in 1998, the church, the fellowship called me to be a pastor of the church. So since
Wow.
1998, I have been a pastor in Ethiopian and Eritrean church
Wow.
until 2014.
Okay, wow. How did you come from Ethiopia to Britain?
So I came to Britain, not really kind of out of interest, or kind of out, because I wanted to go out. It was just Ethiopia was in civil war with Eritrea, and
Oh,
it
okay.
was under a communist regime. So the government was taking young people to the war front, where the war that we didn't believe, because it was a civil war, and kind of were brothers and sisters, and we didn't really believe in the war. And also the government was not giving adequate training for the people who he was the people they were recruiting. So I used to see quite a lot
Oh.
of people coming back from war amputated, and a lot of things were happening.
Mm.
So I had to leave the country at the time. So it just, I didn't know anything about Britain. So by sheer providence, by God's grace, I was given a tourist visa, and that was just funny because they know that they're not going. If any young person leaves Ethiopia at that time, they knew that we were not going back. But still, I don't know how I got the visa to come to Britain as a young man, with a tourist visa. So that's
Hmm.
how I came to Britain.
That would be difficult, I'm sure,
It
to
was
have
it
to leave
was
under
it,
those conditions.
it was very difficult because that was the first time leaving my family, and I didn't know
Oh, yeah.
anybody in Britain, and I wasn't expecting to meet anyone at the airport, and I had $250 in my pocket. It was just
Oh,
absolutely.
wow.
It was a phase I had in God that really sustained me through that
Wow.
time. But uh, but yeah,
Wow.
so yeah.
From the very beginning, you were kind of adopted at first by the Ethiopian Christian Fellowship Church and then just kind of grew in your role and became
That's
moved
right.
from being a layperson to having a leadership role.
Exactly, and that's I'm really grateful to God, because you know people have witnessed my kind of progress in my discipleship, and my relationship with Christ, and in ministry as well through time, and to be acknowledged by the church and the kind of the people who knew you from the beginning, and to endorse you as a pastor was a great honor. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Why you because you started the gratitude initiative in
Yeah.
2015 because you
Yeah.
said you stopped pastoring full
Yeah.
time in
Yeah.
2014. Why was
Yeah.
2015 the right time to start the gratitude initiative?
One of the struggles I had when I was a pastor in Ethiopian church was, I mean, it was a very effective ministry in a way. I mean, we had another 2 3 pastors afterwards, and we were planting churches, and our congregation was relatively big considering where we are. But my main struggle was the fact that we are in Britain, but we were doing ministry to Ethiopian and Eritrean congregation, and we are speaking our language, we preach in our language, but we live and associate and kind of work together with the wider community. But when it comes to church, we can't be able to invite them to our church because it's very they don't speak our language, and they don't. So that became I
Yes.
became unsettled with that. That became really a question. So I keep on asking, are we here just to be a blessing to reach our own ethnicity, or is there a wider responsibility or is there a wide, how can we be a blessing for Britain? How can we be a part
Wow,
of
yeah.
the work of God in Britain? What does it mean to be a disciple of Jesus Christ in a diaspora context? So that question became really persistent in my heart, in my mind, and also, as I said to you, I have had a heart of gratitude for Britain, because, as I told you, I came with $250 in my pocket, knowing absolutely nothing and no one. I was received, I was accepted, and I was given a place to live, and money to live by, opportunity to study, and to become a contributor in the society. So I was really grateful of the generosity that I have experienced in Britain. So there is that aspect of gratitude in my
Yeah.
heart throughout. So I'm always thankful of the generosity that I have seen and experienced in Britain. Although I was grateful, there wasn't any kind of platform where I can say thank you to the British people, or kind of the generosity to really
Yeah.
share what it means for me to be in Britain. But so that aspect of my gratitude was there in my heart, and this questioning of the limitation and the exclusiveness of our ministry bothered me a lot. And then I started to connect with churches
Mm-hmm.
around the area, and then started to see just a very diverse churches in the area, kind of with native churches, the Church of England, other ethnic churches, and other denominations. I just keep on going to them in their pastoral meeting, in their whatever meeting, and started to connect and try to do something to find, how asking how can we collaborate, how can we work together, how can we be a blessing to the community around us. And that is when I started the Life Festival enterprise, where we kind of galvanized the local churches to do mission together in a local park. So that became
Oh, wow.
instrumental. Yeah,
Yeah, so Life Enterprise or Life Festival Enterprise was kind of the precursor to the Gratitude Initiative, with all the different several different churches coming together for one service. Is that right?
that's right. That's right. So, but what I so when in it so in the process of starting that festival, I discovered that there are kind of animosities, there were resentments, and kind of the unity when people come together. The unity is very superficial. There were issues that they were not comfortable to talk about, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes, I do.
so that and then I tried to kind of talk to them, and when I see like when we are when I am with ethnic minorities, or with my non-white friends, the conversation is different when we are together with them. And kind of I said, why don't we raise these issues together? Why don't we tackle it? They were afraid to raise it because there wasn't any kind of safe platform or safe environment, or kind of a framework that will help us to have a heart-to-heart talk
Mm-hmm.
without being angry or condemning. So that became a burden to me as well, and I was just started to ask, okay, how can we build through unity? How can we our relationship be deeper than just doing some kind of activity, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, for
uh,
sure. Um, oh, go ahead, please.
So then, I remember there was a church, not in our area, but I just keep on going around to see how other churches together do, kind of how they work on their unity. So there was one church together that I visited, and I discovered that there was really, really that church together in a local borough have been together for a long time, and they are very diverse leadership team. But the kind of the issue among them was really, really, really uh, problematic. I mean, there was issues, and they were not willing to address it. So I had a conversation
Oh,
with
yeah.
the leader of that particular church together, and he told me that. he couldn't allow this kind of issues to be raised because he said it will be volatile, it will destroy the fellowship because we don't know, there isn't any framework where we can have that conversation. And that really, enhanced the burden and kind of the prayer. I just keep on praying and asking God, and how are we going to, if we fail to build a true unity in you, well, then what hope do we have to encourage harmony in the community, in the wider community? So then, so that is kind of one. If one. So my heart of gratitude to Britain, and then this problem. I saw
Yeah.
gratitude could how gratitude could be a framework where we can have a constructive conversation. You know.
Yes. So, yeah. So tell us about the gratitude initiative that seeks to provide this framework. Tell us about what it is.
So gratitude, the whole aspect of the gratitude, the principle, the philosophy of gratitude itself is a very powerful principle, because if I come to you and start my conversation with acknowledging, with expressing my gratitude to you, not just flattering, not just lip service, but really with content, what our relationship means to me, then I can really raise any other issue, and you wouldn't be defensive, or you wouldn't be you would be able to listen to me, because you can see that I'm raising these issues not to condemn you, but actually to make our relationship better.
Mm-hmm.
So that gratitude could create that framework. Just to give you an example, let me tell you kind of a story that in the story
Oh,
might be
yes.
very, very helpful. So in 2018, I was in central London in the evening, and I met these two couple. They are very middle class, posh couple. You can see that they are really kind of they were coming from a dinner evening, and they were just standing waiting for a pickup. And I was waiting for my friend. So it was evening, and then there was two other people passing by. They were talking very loudly and in a very funny way. And then the ladies, they made us laugh, and the lady started to have conversation with me. And then she said to me afterwards, she said, "I am ashamed of my country, Britain." And she said she started
Wow.
to list the problems. She said, "Oh, look at the immigration law, look at the racism, look at the hate crime, look at the Brexit." When at that time we were in the process of going out of Europe, so there
Mm-hmm.
was this kind of really very divisive conversation going on in the country. So she just started to list the problems, and then obviously as an African, as a black man, she was expecting me to add some more on the problems. And then
Yes.
I said to her, "I'm sorry, madam, I don't agree with you." And then she said, "What do you mean you don't agree with me?" I said because Britain is not just that. There are qualities in this country that we sometimes take it as granted. And I started to list the qualities because I've been reflecting quite a lot. I just listed the qualities that I have witnessed in Britain. And she just couldn't believe that this African man actually contradicts her of her opinion of her country, and saying about Britain like this. And she said, "I'm sorry to ask you, but where are you from? How can you say this?" I said I came from Ethiopia with this, what I told you, with this amount of money. I didn't have anybody, and I was given this and this and this, and I am what I am today by the grace of God and by the generosity of the British people. And then she started crying. And then she said to me, "No, no, no. We are the one who are grateful. where would Britain be without the migrant community? Look at our hospitals. Look at this. Look at, and then I say, no, no, no. We are the one who are grateful. No, she said, no, no. We are the one. The atmosphere that was created was
Wow,
so beautiful. None of us wanted to go.
that is beautiful.
It was just amazing. And if I had any kind of negative feeling and negative experiences in Britain, I would have shared it with her, and she would have listened to me without any
Hmm.
defensiveness, and that would have brought healing to my pain, and reconciliation would have happened. So how gratitude is disarming, and how it actually opens us up and kind of help us to to be able to listen. It kind of create a psychological space in our mind, which is not
Hmm.
suffocated by trying to defend ourselves, or we kind of trying to justify or something like that. That psychological space where there is no condemnation, or you are not being the center of um, kind of some kind of anger or anything. So this is kind of this. I really witnessed the power of gratitude in changing our conversations, in changing the way we look at each other. I know that the lady have changed. I mean, her perception of the migrant community, it has changed totally for forever. I think from that conversation, gratitude could be a framework where we can have a difficult conversation and raise difficult issues, and be able to move forward. If you know what I mean.
Yes, definitely. So, how does the gratitude, because this was an encounter that you had,
Yeah,
which is beautiful, how
yeah.
does the gratitude initiative encourage and promote harmony and a gratitude culture? And I
Okay,
believe one of the words that I read in the description about it was wanted to change the social imagination.
that's right.
So, I guess what do you mean when you say the social imagination, and how do you do that?
Where our imagination is informed by obviously ideas, experiences, our imagination of the other. Our imagination of the other is, come about by our experiences and by the ideas that we heard about that person, that individual or community, or each other through time. So gratitude is kind of the ability to perceive, and also the ability to recognize the good. So it's a
Mm,
a decision or a choice that we encourage individuals to make, to start with the positive, to try to see the positive, try to see kind of the good before they jump on
mhm.
the kind of the wrongs or the negatives. So um, so
Yes.
what we have been doing, what gratitude initiative have been doing, for example, I mean, to catalyze this change of imagination, is in a locality. For example, what we did in one borough. I don't know what in one. I don't know what you say in community in America, and in one borough in one
Oh, yes.
area. Yeah, so we went there and we said, look, there are public sector workers and charities who are benefiting and helping the community, that particular borough. And whenever we have a complaint about our services, we have a platform to complain. Whenever we want to challenge, we have a platform to challenge. But where is the platform for
Mhm.
us to appreciate and celebrate and kind of express our gratitude for the services that we have received for years? So we went there and invited the public sector workers, and like cleaners, teachers, nurses, doctors, police, fire brigade, you know, all sorts of public
Wow.
sector workers, representatives, and also charities who are really a lifeline for our community. So we organized a very big dinner for them, and we invited the mayor of the local mayor and kind of significant leaders to come. And then we said to them, look, we are here to say thank you and to express our gratitude as community leaders. And we walked around, invited community leaders, and we said, look, church leaders, community leaders, and we said, look, we need to, we are organize this dinner to express our gratitude. So we will be having, wearing a bow tie, and some of the pictures that you have seen there is actually from that event. So
Oh, wow.
we were serving them drinks and dinner and expressing our gratitude. We honored them. We really expressed our heartfelt gratitude for the services that we have received for years. So for them, that was absolutely empowering. It was. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some of them were really emotional because the only thing they have been hearing from the community for a very long time is very kind of negative. They are remembered when things are wrong, when the garbages are not collected,
Mm-hmm.
when that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So for leaders to stand in front of them and to say thank you was really a great joy to receive that gratitude. But we didn't stay. We didn't stop there. We said to them, okay, now we have, and also the schools were involved. So children were asked to write a gratitude card for the public sector workers and also the charities. For the children, we were teaching kind of children also to think gratefully, to appreciate what the
Yes.
communities are doing. And we put the cards on the table for them to look at. And also we said we gave them kind of on different table, on each tables, we put 2-3 organizations and asked the people who are sitting on the table to write gratitude to those particular organizations. So for them to think about, okay, what are we grateful about this community? What is this organization doing? And oh my goodness, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know that they are doing this. And we can actually, and discovering and looking at that particular organization in a positive way, and created actually for them to think, oh, we can actually collaborate on this, and they are doing so.
Uh-huh.
They were not only receiving gratitude, they were not only experienced the joy of receiving gratitude, but also the joy of giving gratitude. So
Yes.
afterwards, uh, few organizations were asking us how whether we can give them training to promote a gratitude culture in their organization. So and to have a workshop for young people, for children as well. So that's what we are heading to do. But also gratitude. Shall I go on?
Oh, yes. Please go on. This is
So,
lovely.
and the other thing is kind of to have a national celebration. We meant to have at St. Paul's Cathedral gratitude celebration in 2018, and then also in 2020, actually last September, but Corona came and it didn't work out. Now we are launching the initiative for the first time from the House of Lords on the 28th of November this year. So we
Wow.
want,
What is it that you're launching this year?
the initiative. We
I'm
have
sorry.
never
What is
the gratitude initiative. The
Oh,
charity, the
you're
gratitude.
launching it
We are
formally.
launching for exactly, formally at a nationally.
Oh, that's so exciting because
Yeah.
that's the bad on me with my research, but I thought it was already launched and out there because I saw your beautiful website and all the things. That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's actually coming up on the 28th of November, and we have lines of very prominent leaders and academicians contributing on the day, talking about gratitude
Oh,
and how,
wow.
yeah. So uh,
That's wonderful.
So one of the ways, as I said, is working with the community as we did, and also to make gratitude our website information center where people would come and find anything to do with gratitude, any kind of information, any books, if there is any trainings they need. We want to provide that. We want to be the hub of gratitude, the information hub of gratitude. And also, we are planning to have the last Sunday of May as a gratitude Sunday. So we are working with churches
Mm-hmm.
to make that Sunday a gratitude Sunday, and really express their gratitude to God, and also to identify people in their community, in their church, who have done amazing work in the community, contributed something to the community, and recognize them and celebrate them, and kind of really in that way encourage a gratitude culture in Britain. And we are
Oh, yeah.
also working on the curriculum for schools, for primary schools and secondary schools, to propose for Church of England schools as well as for the government schools to adopt that gratitude. So, you have a Thanksgiving Day in America, but we don't have Thanksgiving Day in Britain. So our aspiration is to have a gratitude day and a gratitude national day eventually in Britain.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
What kind of curriculum are you hoping to create for children in school?
I'm working with psychologists, who have done a research on gratitude, how gratitude helps our well-being, enhances our well-being, like
Mm-hmm.
in terms of mental health, in terms of emotional well-being, in terms of how gratitude helps our relationship, and how it actually helps. There have been quite a lot of research done in America. I
Mm-hmm.
am working with one professor in the University of California, who have done a curriculum for secondary school. I don't know how you call it, upper school. So we say it's
Okay.
secondary school.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it
Okay.
is to teach children the benefit of the psychological, physical, relational benefit of gratitude, and kind of
Yeah.
with all sort of play, all sort of story, all sort of activities, and creatively kind of by helping them to engage, and then kind of appreciate, kind of reflect back and say, okay, what do you appreciate? How do you do this? Because of the help of this person or that person, and so what do you feel about it? And I'm grateful. That kind of really helping them to realize, because so that is what we are. It's kind of an early stage at the moment, but I have some
Mm-hmm.
curriculums which has been developed by psychologists, but we want to have a kind of theological input into it as well, spiritual input into it as well. So that is kind of curriculum that we are planning to provide.
Definitely. And I love the whole goal of the gratitude initiative to promote
Mhm.
gratitude across the culture and to provide training for it. I never thought about being trained in gratitude, but just from my own experience, it's not something that I gravitate to naturally. So I I love it that there's a training opportunity out there. Why do we have to be trained to be thankful for things?
So, our tendency, or kind of as a human being, the default position for us is to focus on the negative. In fact,
Mhm.
a while ago, there was a study done by neurologists, and who said that at best, it is only 30% of our thoughts are on the day. Our thoughts are positive. 70% are,
Oh,
70%
wow.
are negative. So you can imagine what this means to our well-being individually as well as socially. So
Mhm.
it takes intentional decision to to observe the positive around us. For me, gratitude
Mhm.
is the ability to perceive the wonders of nature, the wonders of humanity, the wonders of life, the wonders of God's goodness around us. It's kind of the ability to see the extraordinariness of the ordinary days, events, encounters,
Mhm.
and occasions. We don't need to wait to win a lottery or to go to where, or I don't know, harmonious to discover the extraordinariness or ordinariness of our day. We just need to be grateful, observant, and we will discover that
Oh.
all along, ordinary days are full of extraordinary occurrences. So it's the most powerful way of living. It's a kind of recognition of the giftedness of life. As I think it was Paul who said that. I think for Corinth, for the church of Corinth, he said, "What do you have that you didn't receive?" It's a rhetorical question. He said,
Yes.
"What do you
Yeah.
have? And if you did receive it, why do you boast as though you didn't?" So all is a gift to us, and our response, should be gratitude, not boasting or considering ourselves superior than others. So this gratitude is really an acknowledgement of the giftedness of life,
Mhm.
and also it's kind of endorsing a life of Sabbath. It's starting our days, hours, and starting our conversation with the acknowledgement of the good, because as you know in the Bible, as human beings, we started our existence with Sabbath, joining God in
Mhm.
His Sabbath. And from a place of rest, a place of fulfillment, and a place of, in agreement with God for the primacy of goodness. After creation,
Mhm.
in Genesis, it says that God saw that it was good. After creating, every day God says, He looks back what He have done and say, "This is good." So
Mhm.
we started our day, our first day, really by agreeing with God with the primacy of goodness. So even after the fall, redemption reveals to us that good still has its primacy. Therefore, we should start by acknowledging the good, expressing our gratitude for the good. So being thankful for the
Definitely.
good. So when we have 6 days to complain. So we have that's our 6 days to complain, but starting our week with one day of gratefulness, or our day with 1 hour of gratitude. We have 23 hours left
Yes.
to complain, and 1 hour with 1 minute of gratitude and 59 minutes of complain if we want to, and one second with 59, 1 second in a minute to start with that gratitude. So this sabbatical approach to life, this acknowledgement of
Yes.
the good, is really a profound, life-changing, transformational perspective in my opinion.
Yes, definitely. On your website, you told the story that I found very interesting about the boll weevil that came to
Yeah,
the U.S. in the
yeah,
early 1900s
yeah,
and then
yeah.
devoured a good portion of the cotton crop. And
That's right.
because of that, the farmers started planting peanuts.
Yeah,
So they found, and then they were very grateful for the boll weevil because it helped them be even more successful than they had been.
yeah.
Um, but I guess I'm kind of, because I guess I'm thinking about you and your story as it relates to the story of the
That's
boll
right.
weevil,
That's
because
right.
you had a lot of reasons to be ungrateful
That's
and or
right.
not, or to be not see the good, because coming to Ethiopia coming from Ethiopia to Great Britain, it wasn't an easy transition. It probably wasn't how you had pictured your life
Yeah,
going at that moment.
yeah.
Like, how did you start practicing gratitude?
Yeah, I think that's really a very interesting way of looking at it, kind of relating it to my own life. Sometimes we only see the good that has been done or given to us that would help us in life, but actually the bad things that
Mhm.
happen to us could actually be kind of the stepping stone for us to go to our destiny or to a better life. And so all
Mhm.
the Bible obviously says that all things work together for good, to transform our life to the likeness of Christ, and also really to help us be where God wants us to be. So the really, I think, to be in Britain and the fear, the uncertainty that I was feeling on the way here, and kind of to come here and kind of to discover, to be cared for, and to be treated as a human being, and kind of, you know, I haven't contributed anything. My family haven't contributed anything towards Britain, and Ethiopia have never contributed anything towards. You know, this is kind of a sheer generosity. This is how I see it, and that that
Mm-hmm.
that's really um, kind of invoked an attitude of gratitude in me, and kind of that is
Mm-hmm.
one really significant. But I think in a basic level as Christian, I think what also created kind of a gratitude disposition in me is the very fact that Christ loved me, and um, you know, came to me while I was his enemy. You know, he embraced me, not after I changed, not after I became what he wanted me to be, but while I was his enemy, while I was in a very unacceptable condition, he embraced me, and kind of that his
Mm.
embrace revealed my sin to myself, and also motivated me to follow him, to love him, and that kind of created that triggered that gratitude, immense gratitude, as a kind of response. It became kind of a disposition. It's not just sporadic occurrence, but something, kind of a gratitude state in me. I think
Mm-hmm.
that to life, to God, and to see, to consider my life as a gratitude to God, living my life as a gratitude, as an expression of gratitude to God, and that is, I think, that contributed to the way I started to practice gratitude as well.
Yeah. Are there specific things that you do to practice gratitude to kind of
Ah,
train your heart and
okay.
your mind?
So yeah, so every day, my first, in the morning, when I pray, my first list is gratitude. You kind of counting and really specific things that I appreciate God about. So,
Uh-huh.
gradually, initially, I used to write them down. It really taught me to reflect on. I could be five things, it could be three things, it could be one thing that I was really deeply grateful about, and that would take my time really expressing my gratitude, thanking God about. But really,
Mhm.
and kind of writing those things. But gradually, it became. I don't even actually wait for morning time or a kind of a particular time. It becomes now natural for me to think. It just, the list started to grow, and kind of it became a lifestyle to me now, after, I don't know, after all these years, it become but
Oh, yeah.
writing, and also talking about what we do in our family, is that we talk about what we're grateful about. We just ask my children, my wife, yeah, and then we discuss, we talk about it, and then we thank God about the good things that we have experienced. So, as a family, talking about the good things that happen, and also personally writing it initially, and also uttering it out to God, telling Him, telling Him, thanking Him about those things as well.
Was it easy for you to develop this lifestyle of gratitude? Because I guess for me, because I do it a little bit,
Yeah.
kind of make a list sometimes, but I want to, I mean, I can do better because I definitely can focus on the negative. And so I guess I kind of want to see kind of the finish line in sight. How long does it take? And I'm saying that kind of tongue in cheek too. You can't see my face, so you can't see that I'm smiling, but I do kind of like, how long do I have to do this before it just comes naturally to me to be more positive?
Gratitude is kind of really, when you are grateful, you are actually acknowledging your limitation and your need for others.
Oh.
Sometimes in the Western culture, it's a very general statement, I know, but there's individualistic kind of approach to life that we think we are where we are somehow by our own endeavor. But when you think about life, really from birth to death, our life is the contribution of thousands and thousands of people. And and when you really start to see that, then you see then your need for others. I mean, like everything you do, everything you need the other person. So that kind of really to begin to see. I think it starts from seeing, intentionally to observing, to be an observant of our surroundings and kind of the things around us. So it takes time. I think it takes time because, as I said, we have been our 70% of our thoughts have been negative. So that's kind of that's human. So it's intentional exercise of it without being hard on
Yes.
ourselves. It would be, I think, helpful.
Oh, yes. Did you say not being hard on ourselves?
That's right.
Yes. Yes, for not getting it quite right to begin with.
That's right. That's right. So if you become hard on ourselves, and then start to say, "Oh, I'm not grateful," then that actually have a negative effect. And to say, Lord, to admit that we are, it takes the grace of God. It takes God to help us really to cultivate a heart of gratitude, and kind of it is actually a response to His
Mm,
command as well.
definitely, because we have to have grace for ourselves
That's
and
right.
grace for others that comes from God, not
Yeah.
yes, I love that. So, as we've talked about before, we're recording in November, a couple weeks before Thanksgiving week in the US. But I think for many in the US and around the world, it's not just limited to the US, because of COVID, Thanksgiving gatherings and celebrations, and as we approach Christmas and different holiday get togethers, it all is gonna look different this year. So what are some ways that we can practice gratitude even in the midst of this difficult time that we're in right now?
In Britain, I mean, during the lockdown, we initially as
Yes.
well as now, what we have seen, I mean, sometimes it is not just where it's not just a respond to the good things that people have done for us. It's actually witnessing what one person is doing to the other that creates gratitude in us.
Mm,
Really, kind of really observing and seeing, if you see someone or a community doing something for other person, then by expressing our gratitude to that community or to that person. The people might not necessarily
yeah.
contribute it to us, but they have done it to other people. So starting acknowledging that, and people, it means a great deal, really, for that individual or for that community to get an acknowledgement of the thank you card, and I appreciate what you have done for this person. We're really grateful of your kindness. Would be a good thing. And also, I think
Mhm.
to make a phone call, just one phone call, or it could be somebody that we haven't talked to for a long time. It could be someone that mean a lot to us, like who have contributed. It could be in our educational venture, or in any family relative that we haven't talked to. It's a very hard, it's a hard time now. Just calling to say how are you doing,
Yes.
and kind of that is and that is you are calling in response to appreciating what that person mean to you. So it's one way of expressing our gratitude as well, kind of acknowledging that person's
Mhm.
contribution, and as I said, writing cards, and also doing some kind of really expressing our kindness by doing something to other people as well. It could be, as I said, this
Yeah.
is kindness, calling is that kindness, but it could also be material thing that we can do to others. So yeah, and really pray and reflect that the one day of Thanksgiving that we gave to be a lifestyle, to really be kind of may trigger or ignite a lifestyle of gratitude and thanksgiving.
Yes, because it's not just one day.
Yeah,
It's something that at least I hope in my life to live out the entire year. And as we're talking, I'm thinking about just seeing anew the people that I am especially grateful for. That that since we've talked, I'm like I would like to let them know how much I appreciate them. So
yeah.
I appreciate that challenge and that encouragement from you.
Oh, thank you.
Um, Yes, thank you. As we wrap up our interview, we've talked about a lot of things. Is there anything we have one question that we ask everybody before we end, but before I ask you that one, is there anything else that you would like to talk about that I didn't know to ask you about?
So kind of to ground it biblically, just one thing to say, gratitude. Gratitude help us to not just only when things are good, but also when things are not good. Like especially in
Mm,
relationship in a community in our church. How Jesus' message to the seven churches. Who were some of them were really in a very difficult situation, and Jesus didn't start by condemning them, by highlighting the wrong in them, but he actually started by acknowledging the good, acknowledging, appreciating,
mm,
and expressing his gratitude for what they have done for his namesake and how they stand for his namesake. So really, because he was in the business of a restoration, not in the business of condemnation. So even in conflict, even in a very difficult situation, really try finding something to to focus on, to appreciate before we tackle the issue in a family situation,
mhm.
in a marriage situation, in all sorts of situations. That is a very, very helpful place to
Yeah,
be, because
and
the moment you move to
yeah,
that, you will be in a positive kind of position. And when you raise the issue,
mhm.
you wouldn't be kind of emotionally dominated by the negative emotion won't be dominating you when you express your concerns or your challenges.
Yes, definitely, especially in I keep saying in the US, but that's the context that I know. We've just
Yeah,
come through this political season with lots
that's
of
right.
and I know you mentioned Brexit in Great Britain,
Yeah,
and so there's lots of people on opposite sides, and so,
yeah,
as you're saying, it's very important to find the good in the other,
yeah,
to find a way to have a good
yeah.
conversation, even if you walk away still on opposite sides, but not as angry. Yeah,
That's
so
absolutely
that's a
true.
good word, Dr. Bishaw.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so now for the last question. Because the
Okay.
show is called the Thrive with Asbury Seminary podcast, what is one practice that is helping you thrive in your life right now?
Fellowshipping. I think fellowship, meeting people, meeting new people, and just to
Yeah.
hear their story,
Yeah.
and that has been inspirational for me, and really helping me to see discover God in a new way. Really, just meeting new people and discovering what God is doing in their life and how God brought them where they are, and really hearing their story it has been transformational.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, Dr.
Yeah.
Bishaw, I really appreciate your time today and the words that you had to share. I found them challenging, especially to me. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Oh,
I'm honored.
oh, thank you. You're very kind. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining me for today's conversation with Dr. Bishaw. Just so grateful for his kindness and for his time in talking to us about gratitude. As we talked, I was reminded, challenged, and encouraged to think about the people in my own life that I am especially grateful for, but sometimes take for granted. And so I hope as you listen, you had a similar moment, and maybe we can all take a moment to reflect on that and to let these individuals or organizations know how they have impacted our lives. So thank you so much for listening to the conversation. I am especially grateful for you, our listeners, because we couldn't do it without you. So as always, you can follow us in all the places on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Asbury Seminary. Until next time, have a great day and go do something that helps you thrive.